How's it going, guys? So as always, thanks so much for clicking on the video and showing us some support, and as well a big thank you as well to Gavin, of course, for filming all of this stuff himself. Now, this was the end of week 1 of phase 2 of his training cycle. Phase 1 went very well, and again we're just wanting to really keep pushing it, and hopefully the £500 beltless deadlift will be here in 2 more training cycles, including this one, and then I think he is going to invest in a belt for himself and take his deadlift to the next level. But I am happy with how his deadlifts are looking. However, what you see with some of these deadlifts is that due to fatigue factors, he was pretty fatigued in this workout, and as he was going on he was getting more and more fatigued. His form was breaking down a lot more than he is capable of, and that is okay. Form breakdown will happen as fatigue goes up, and that is fine. However, one thing we will want to work on is still trying to maintain keeping his form pretty tight and controlled even when fatigue is pretty high, as that then will have a really great carryover onto when fatigue is low and readiness is very high, so at the end of his peaking program pretty much. But what I was mostly happy with, what I want to talk to you mostly about, is his bench press. Genuinely, please, I know I said this last week, but please go back to the first video and watch his bench press and just how much it has improved. One thing I'm really liking as well is what you'll see is that before his lifts he's bracing himself, and you see him taking a big breath in and tensing his lats and his glutes, and just he's bracing, which he never used to do before. One thing I want to do, that although he's not very keen about, is I want to take his hands out wider. He feels there's a weaker position for him, but he's 6'2" and he's got very long limbs. His wingspan is like 6'6" or something like that. It's the same as mine. He's got a really big wingspan. So the thing is, when you look at the leverages, the moment arm is his arms, his humerus, etc, his radius, his ulna, and the longer the moment arm is, then the harder it is to overcome the weight you're going to be using, because the leverages are at a disadvantage, because the longer the leverage is, the harder it is, of course. So what you can do is you can offset this by taking the hands out wider. So with taller lifters and longer limb lifters, they will benefit a lot more from wider stance squats and wider bench presses. Now, because all he's ever done is have quite a reasonably close grip on his bench press his whole life, of course, because that is where his motor pattern is going to be strongest at. That is the moving pattern he's ingrained in his body, so that is where he's going to feel strongest at, and it might take a few training cycles to get used to the wider grip bench press, but in my opinion it 100% will be a much more advantageous and stronger position for him in the future. One thing as well is I think when having a wider grip bench press, if you break the bench press 3 inches off your tooth, just break it off your chest, I feel there's a much greater chance you in general, and Gavin and myself included, are going to lock it out. So that is another thing I like with wide grip bench press, is that if you get that off your chest, you are probably going to lock it out. Now, here you're seeing his last training day. On the second training day, I think the camera cut out at a lost battery or something like that. I'm not too sure. His setup is much better. As you can see, he is bracing a lot more. This rep was a little bit of a grinder, but it was his last rep. He's getting his hips down, he's external rotating his knees, he's pulling his lats in, and I'm happy. It's good. Here you see him just working on some floor presses. This is a great assist exercises. I myself have not actually done this in quite a long time, but I'm going to start incorporating this into my own training. I think his macros are still the same. His weight has really stabilised, and I'm happy with it. He will have his driving test soon, which is good, because it means that then he'll be able to have a car and his workload will be massively decreased, because he won't have to cycle like 70 miles a week. But that is the end of the video, guys. show Gavin some support down in the comments below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll be seeing all of you guys in the next video.